What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video, on first take, they're going to be talking about how Stephen A. Smith is still not sold on Jimmy Garoppolo, even though the 49ers are now 8-0. So see what they have to say about that.
It is amazing to me how everybody wants to bloviate about Jimmy G. You brought up the fact that he's 16-2 as a starter. He's completing about 66% of his passes in those 18 starts. He's got 26 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. That's relatively average if we talk about most quarterbacks. But because of Jimmy G, oh my God, we have to stop the presses. I mean, look at how special this guy is. Oh, stop it. Let me tell you something right now. Nobody's calling the brother a scrub. Nobody's saying that Jimmy Garoppolo can't play. We recognize that, but last time I checked, last night that 317 yards he passed for, that's his first 300-yard passing game of the entire season. Yes, he's completing about 69% of his passes. He's got 9 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Talk about pedestrian. You're going to sit up there and say, I don't want to hear this about a good defense. I know they got a good defense, an elite defense, but I don't want to hear about it. Hell, you better, because that's the only reason they ain't no right now. It ain't because of Jimmy G.
Well, so I'm not completely sold on Jimmy Garoppolo either. I like to see what he does in the next couple of weeks against some NFC power hitters. But as far as it's hard to argue with 8-0, and that's what Jimmy Garoppolo is right now. So he had a pretty good game last night. So here's his stats. He went 28 for 37 for 317 yards, threw for 4 touchdowns, 0 picks. His QBR finished up at 95, and his rating is at 136. So that's a pretty good game. I can't complain with that. But the key stat that stands out to me is Jimmy Garoppolo's third down conversions. So I think he went 13 for 15 last night in third down conversions. That is huge right there. That is huge and a momentum killer for the Arizona Cardinals and any other team that he plays against right there. To have that many third down conversions, that's excellent right there. That's a killer. Now, again, it's the Arizona Cardinals, but still, that's really starting to prove yourself and show that you're a baller in Jimmy Garoppolo. Again, it's hard to argue with 8-0, and I would like to see what he does in the next couple of weeks against the Seattle Seahawks, the Green Bay Packers, and New Orleans Saints. Then I will probably be more sold on Jimmy Garoppolo. But let's continue.
Defense did something yesterday. Excuse me?
Defense did something yesterday. Defense didn't do a thing yesterday.
Excuse me. Well, first of all, they did enough to win because they did win by 3 points. That's number one. Number two, that damn Kyler Murray's the league. You might deserve more props than people are giving him because the little brother can play. That's number two. Give Arizona credit. It was Thursday Night Football. Richard Sherman walked into the game complaining about the fact that you only got 3 days, you understand, before you got to play another game. So you got that going on. Number four, on several occasions throughout your history here at First Take, all right, 3 years, about 4.5 months and counting, you have religiously complained about Thursday Night Football only from the standpoint of that rest or lack thereof and how we don't get to see the best premium quality that's out there because you don't have a full week to prepare. So that might have had something to do with the 25 points that they gave up last night as well. But let's be very, very clear about something. Nobody, again, is saying that Jimmy Garoppolo cannot play. What we're saying is, excuse me, you're more known for being porn star Jimmy, all right? You're more known for being the guy that Bill Belichick traded from New England to San Francisco than the reason that the San Francisco 49ers are 8-0. This is their defense.
Now, wait a minute. I'm not completely sold on Jimmy Garoppolo, but I got to give him some type of credit because, for one, again, he is 8-0, and the only other undefeated team is the New England Patriots, who are 8-0 also. So that just kind of shows that Bill Belichick knows how to pick his quarterbacks. If the quarterback that he had to get rid of is 8-0, just like his quarterback right now. So that means something about Bill Belichick made something of a good choice and thinking about keeping Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, would I keep him over Tom Brady? Heck no. And you already know I wouldn't do that. Most people wouldn't do that. But again, it's a testament to Bill Belichick's picking out quarterbacks, for one. And for two, like I said, Jimmy Garoppolo's 8-0 right now. He's doing good. I'm not completely sold on him, but I like to see what he does in the next upcoming weeks because they play against the Green Bay Packers, who are 7-1. They play against the Seattle Seahawks, who I believe are 6-2. Then they play against the New Orleans Saints, who's 7-1. So between those dogfights right there, whoever comes out on top is probably going to be the NFC Championship. And one of those games is probably going to be an NFC Championship game. So if Jimmy Garoppolo can come out there unscathed, maybe even run the table, which would be very hard because those are some power hitters. If he can come out and, be undefeated with beating those guys, then Jimmy Garoppolo, he would have my A-OK. This guy's a baller. But until then, I'm still kind of weary of him. But again, he's 8-0, so it's kind of hard to argue with that. So I'm kind of neutral. But let's continue.
Excuse me, the passer attack for the San Francisco 49ers. Because last time I checked, the quarterback has everything to do with the passing attack. Wouldn't you say that? I mean, in football, how could you have a passing attack, okay, without the damn quarterback? He has something to do with it. What are they ranked in terms of their passing game? I think it's 30th. I don't want to hear they got the number 3 rushing attack in all of football. Everybody knows that they run the football in a very elite fashion. I love the fact that Emmanuel Sanders is there because the brother can ball.
Difference right away.
7 receptions, 112 yards in just the second game. Bottom line is that he was mired in Denver all of these years because Emmanuel Sanders, ladies and gentlemen, Emmanuel Sanders didn't have a damn quarterback. One of the greatest quarterbacks to have ever lived, and John Elway couldn't get the man a damn quarterback. That's why you lost sight of Emmanuel Sanders. The brother can play, and I think that obviously buffers things for San Francisco. Kittle, this brother is one of the best. I think he's one of the top 2 or 3 tight ends in all of football. He is special. So you got these weapons, yet you got 9 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Don't give me porn star Jimmy Garoppolo and act.
Okay, again, let's give the man a little bit of credit. He is 8-0. So give him some credit there. And again, obviously defense wins championships. So if defense can save him and make up and cut down the deficit between what Jimmy Garoppolo can't do, well, then that means they're a championship team. That means they can get it done. A defense wins championship, like I said. If they can cover the deficit of what Jimmy Garoppolo can't overcome, well, then they're ballers. And there's a reason why they're 8-0. So let's continue.
He's so special. He's good. He's good. But let's see.
What more do you need to see from him?
Keep doing it. Excuse me. How about more last night?
Like what?
Excuse me, you passed over 300 yards. What's the problem? I just told you got what you got a damn good wide receiver. A couple of them as well. Pettis is good too. Okay. You also have an elite running game. You have an elite offensive mind as your head coach. How come you can't have a better passing attack?
Well, maybe that's something Jimmy needs to work on, his passing attack. But again, his defense can probably bail him out. That wouldn't be the first time we've seen a Super Bowl won by a defense that bails out their quarterback for one. And for two, like I said, he just has to work on that. It's something he has to work. We're at the halfway point in the season. That'll be something he has to work on. And as far as what the lady said, what more do we want to see from him? Well, again, I'd like to see what he does against some real power hitters in the NFC. Like I said, against Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers, New Orleans Saints and Drew Brees and Seattle Seahawks with Russell Wilson. I want to see him go against those power hitters. And if he comes out on top of those, then Jimmy Garoppolo is the real deal. He's the real deal. And guess what? He has a strong defense too. So let's continue.
I'm going to give you Jimmy G right now. The question was not, well, first of all, special is exactly the right word. Now,
do you believe in Jimmy G?
I do.
All right, and I'm saying I got to wait and see.
Right. Now, this is what I'm saying.
That's fair.
I'm not just farming that out to Bill Belichick and Kyle Shanahan. I'm not just saying since they think it, although that's a really good piece of evidence. You look at the 16-2 record. That's not coincidence, especially when the team he played for in San Francisco couldn't win without him. I'm saying.
Well, in all fairness, I mean, the San Francisco's 49ers, they were doing pretty bad before Jimmy got there. So I think if you put in any type of quality quarterback that's just kind of good, they probably would have had a better result, or they probably would have had the same type of result because they were trash before Jimmy got there. But let's continue.
Stephen A., there are some quarterbacks who have a thing about them. It's not Patrick Mahomes. It's not Aaron Rodgers. I'm not comparing Jimmy G to Patrick Mahomes, okay? But I will say this. Tom Brady, when he came in the league, had a thing about him. He wasn't putting up monster numbers. He wasn't considered an amazing superstar quarterback. He was considered a smart, winning kind of quarterback who could game manage, be big on third down.
Okay.
And also went to the Super Bowl his second year, and I believe won it. He went to I think within his second year of starting or third year, he went to 2 Super Bowls and won 2 Super Bowls. So what are you talking about, Max? What are you talking about?
Russell Wilson, the same thing. I've made that point oftentimes about Dak Prescott. I don't know if Dak Prescott's going to be great, but I smell that same thing on him, that he's going to evolve better and better, and right now he's already a winner. Jimmy G is in that mold. He's a guy who, the reason he's 16-2, like you said, well, why do you do this on a Thursday night when their defense is tired? His team needed him to do that yesterday. That's what he did. By hook or by crook, he wins.
And I am saying to you, I have a wait-and-see approach. I am not going to ordain him yet. That defense is real.
Ordain him.
That is very fair.
When we talk about when people are looking at him, you believe in him, he's elite. No. The fact of the matter is he has relatively pedestrian numbers. If this were Baker Mayfield or somebody, we'd be talking about them in an entirely different
You want him
fashion.
as your quarterback? You're trying to win a Super Bowl. You want him as your quarterback? He's available.
No. Oh. No.
Well, it would depend on what quarterbacks I have offered to me. You know, if there's nothing but trash and then Jimmy Garoppolo, I'll go with Jimmy Garoppolo. But if we're going against an Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees or Russell Wilson or any of those guys, then I might have to go with those guys versus Jimmy Garoppolo. So it's kind of like a loaded question, an unfair question. Oh, would you want to go to Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo? Well, it depends what other quarterbacks we have at my disposal. So let's continue.
See,
I'll take 'em.
this is your problem.
I'll take 'em.
You don't listen to me when I'm not stuttering. The answer is no.
Can't wait till they win the Super Bowl this year.
Defense, excuse me, I'm sorry.
You know, I'm picking them just because you said that.
So I was going to say, are you buying in that much that you are on the hype train for the Niners as a real Super Bowl contender right now?
I think the Saints are probably the odds-on favorite,
Go ahead
but
and
the Niners are right there.
Go ahead and dance, Fred Astaire.
Look, for me, I would say, I'm sorry for stopping him, but for me, there's the NFC is wide open. I mean, there's wide open. Sure, the 49ers are undefeated at 8-0, but Jimmy Garoppolo is kind of questionable. His defense is stellar. My front runner might have to be maybe the New Orleans Saints with Drew Brees because of the experience. He's a baller. And again, they have good defense too. I know I talked to somebody said they didn't have defense, but they have defense too. And then you have the Seattle Seahawks. You cannot count Russell Wilson because he's always doing things. You can't ever out-count him. I mean, it's just, and then would I go over Green Bay already? Green Bay, you cannot count Aaron Rodgers. He's been balling this year. So I think the NFC is really wide open. It's anybody's game. But I'd probably look at going with a veteran quarterback that's been to the Super Bowl and has at least one ring before I'd go over Jimmy Garoppolo. Because this would be, if he's able to make it throughout this whole season, this would be the first season he's ever played fully. All the way through. All 16 games. So I don't know. We're still on uncharted waters with Jimmy Garoppolo. So I don't know if I would take him as my Super Bowl quarterback. I'd go with other guys. But at this point, you know, it's hard to argue with 8-0. So let's continue.
Here's the problem. Want to throw another team up there? Green Bay? Want to throw another team up in there?
Here's the problem.
Go ahead.
My preseason pick is the Saints.
So
right?
am I.
Okay. So that's where we are. Now, as you get evidence in through the year, you say, who else could be there? My number 2 team out of the NFC is the Niners, and it's so close.
Hold on.
It's so close.
I
might pick them just
number
to
2.
spite you.
Excuse me, you sure they ain't number 3? You sure they ain't number 3? I mean, because with you, we got to throw Green Bay in the mix.
No doubt.
Okay.
What about
You
you?
sure?
What about you? Who's your 1, 2, and 3?
I got New Orleans.
Stephen A's list?
I got New Orleans. I got Green Bay, and I got them. Now let me say this.
Oh, so the same as me.
No. You just said 2. You had 2.
You have Green Bay and them.
Stephen A has the receipts
But here's the
today.
damn right. I got the receipts. Show me the receipt. Here's the deal. All I'm trying to say to you is, at the end of the day, this is what I'll go as far as to say. If they get there, it won't be because of him.
But they might win it.
Tell me. They got the number with Breida and Tevin Coleman. They've got the number 3 rushing attack in all of football, and their defense is elite. It will be because of them before Jimmy Garoppolo.